All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are you all doing? Welcome to session number 3 of HIIT SEO batch number 5. Looks like a lot of people have already tuned in and some more people are tuning in. I hope you guys had a great assignment when it comes to session number 2. You did all your keyword research. You had a lot of fun while you were doing that also. And while you're doing that, you try to understand what your audience is looking for on Google. Let me know in the chat box how your assignment was and what your experience was when you were doing your keyword research. Fantastic. Good evening, Indrani. Good evening, Anmol. Hi, Virendra, VP. Not so easy, says Khalid. Totally enjoyed it, says Radhika. Tiring, didn't sleep for 2 days, says Anmol. Okay, tried my best. Devanjali, fantastic. That's good enough. Raksha says fun yet overwhelming. Okay, not bad. Loved it, says Virendra. Terrific. Tough, but learned a lot, says Abdul. Super fun, amazing, very addictive. Last minute submission, but enjoyed a lot. I'm gonna speak a little bit on the last minute submission part so that we address a very important issue. Through my assignment, I proved to Google I'm not a robot multiple times. Now it's a fact. Well, good to know that. Well, not to Google, Ahrefs, but yeah, it has really pushed us. Very nice. All efforts were worth it. Loved it. It was a lot of work, but realized the potential of SEO by the sheer volume of keywords. Fantastic. Never knew the importance of keyword research until now. True practical experience. Tough one in the way of easy one, but enjoyed. It was great, confusing, super fun. Learned a lot from it. Will we get feedback on this assignment? Not specific feedback, but I'll give a very generic feedback in terms of where you guys are going in terms of your assignment. But eventually, we want to bring in personal feedback as well. Fantastic. Lovely to see all of you guys have enjoyed it, regardless of the fact that it might have been a little tough, a little overwhelming, but that's how it's going to be for the rest of the 7 weeks that we have. And most importantly, see, you feel overwhelmed right now because you don't know, you're not used to it, right? This is the first time you're doing all of these things. Eventually, you'll get so used to it, it'll become like the back of your hand, and you'll be doing keyword research like it's nobody's business. I can guarantee you that by the end of the next 7 weeks, you will be very, very comfortable with not just keyword research, but also content creation, plus everything related to SEO for that matter. Speaking of assignments, last minute submissions, let's talk about that for a minute, shall we? I saw a bunch of people were asking in the WhatsApp group that, hey, can we get an extension for the submission? The answer is absolutely not. I think I've made it fairly clear a million times that no matter what, we are not going to be extending the assignment submission. I think more than 90 people have actually close to 100 people have submitted their assignments on time. If so many people could submit their assignment on time, and if there was no issue from our end, I do not see any reason why the rest of you could not have submitted it on time. And this is exactly why I told you, do not wait till the last minute for you to submit your assignment. 800 plus words is not fine. I think I've also mentioned that if it is even 999 words, I'm not going to accept it as an assignment. It has to be 1,000 plus words, right? So don't come up with excuses like my Wi-Fi was down, my dog ate my assignment, my neighbor ran away with my assignment, and all of those kind of things. Okay. So one of the other things that you need to really understand and learn through this course is your work ethic, right? Because what I have observed and what I've seen in the whole digital marketing space is the work ethic that people have is actually not that great out there. And because of that, our reputation as digital marketers or as people who work out there in the global market is pretty bad, right? And if you want to improve that reputation, if you want to make sure you get good quality clients coming your way, you have to make sure you stick to your deadlines. Please make sure you stick to your deadlines. We have given you 7 days time. And if 100 people are able to do that within 7 days time, despite everything that is happening, everything else that is happening in their lives, I think everyone else can also do it. It's all about focus. It's all about carving out your time and like actually putting in the effort to finish your assignment. Okay, so through the course of this entire program, I want you to also remember that if there is a deadline, make sure you respect it. Make sure you respect the time given to you. If you're not respecting somebody else's time, the least you can do is respect your own time, your own effort, your own energy. The more you do it, the more you project it outside in the world, and the more people will start respecting you for the same. So always make sure. So after this, unless there is some kind of an issue from our end, we are not going to be extending the assignment submission no matter what. So make sure you do not submit your assignment at 5:55 p.m. I saw that a lot of people, not just like a handful of them, a lot of people tried to submit their assignment at like 5:58. I mean, come on, guys. You had 7 days time, which is plenty of time. You had a weekend, you had a Q&A session and all of those kind of things, but you still chose to upload it at 5:58. Has it been extended this time? What do you think, Pallavi? I think I've made it very clear that I'm not extending it anytime, not this time. And this might be an expensive mistake for you. It's one way to learn. It's the hard way to learn, but unfortunately, that seems to be the case, right? So do not, and let's face it, guys, it's not fair to all the other people who have made sure they submitted on time. Do you guys agree with that? Just type in A in the chat box if you agree that it's not fair on everyone else who has actually taken the time out to put in the effort and submit it on time. So which is why we're not going to be extending the submission time anytime. Okay, so make sure you try to finish your assignment by over the weekend itself, if possible. And like, Mondays before Tuesday, if you can submit it, just get it done with it. Okay. And speaking of the cashback that you will be receiving, you'll probably processing the cashback for the previous assignment by tomorrow, backs by day after tomorrow. So don't worry about it. You'll be getting your cash in your bank account, and Shreyas will be updating in the WhatsApp group once the cashback has been approved. And you guys will also get a notification once you get the cashback into your bank account as well. So don't worry about it. How's the Q&A session? Was Shreyas helpful? I'm sure he was. And if you guys had any questions in terms of keyword research and everything else, okay, very helpful. Yeah, he's very patient. He's very calm. He's gonna make sure that you guys don't get stuck. So we are trying to provide you with all the support possible, right? So to make sure that you finish your assignments, we want you to finish your assignments. We want you to make sure you put your work out there and get it done, because the only way you can actually learn SEO is by doing it, which is why this entire program has been designed in that manner. Okay, so having said that, who's ready for session number 3 of HIIT SEO? Just type in me in the chat box if you're ready. All right. Bring it on. Fantastic. So let's quickly walk you through the 6-step content framework first, and so that you understand what the 6-step content framework is. Because in today's session, we'll also be learning about how to use the headline and intro a little bit more, so that you know how to create content in a better manner. Okay. So as you can see, this is how the 6-step content framework looks like. Number 1, you have the headline, 2, intro, the what, the why, the how, and the conclusion itself, right? So headline is, of course, you're describing what your piece of content is going to be, but also that is going to be the first point of interaction between your content and your audience. So you have to make sure that your headline really, really stands out. And in today's session, you learn and understand why I emphasize on that so much, right? And once you have made sure that you've written a fantastic headline, you also have to make sure that your introduction is also great, and you'll be learning the ARB formula to write amazing introductions that is going to retain the attention that with so much difficulty you've managed to attract from your audience. In the what, you're describing what the problem your user is facing, and of course the solution for it also, and why your solution is probably the best solution amongst all the other solutions out there that they might be finding. And in the how, you demonstrate how to implement your solution in simple and easy steps. And then you wrap it all up nicely with a simple and effective conclusion. That's how you write this. That's how you use the 6-step content framework. Now, having said that, in this session, you will be learning about a concept called as on-page SEO. Now, what is on-page SEO? Let's first try to understand what on-page SEO is all about. Now, before we understand what on-page SEO is all about, can anyone tell me the three buckets under which we grouped all the ranking signals that Google uses? Fantastic. Justin was really quick, fastest finger, I suppose. RAU, right? Relevancy, authority, and user signals. That is how we grouped all the signals that Google actually uses to go out there and determine which website to rank for a particular keyword. Now, in this session, we'll be specifically focusing on the relevancy part and how do you improve the relevancy of your page, of your content, so that it becomes more relevant to the query that is being used by the user to search whatever they're looking for on Google, right? That's what on-page SEO is all about in very simple terms. In other words, it's a way to optimize your page for relevancy of keywords to help search engines understand and organize your content. Remember, we also spoke about how search engines work. First goes out there, across the entire internet, organizes the content, and every time somebody types in a query in the search box, that's when it goes ahead and like goes into the index and tries to find all different kinds of content, right? So here you have a lot of different kinds of elements or real estate on your page that you can use to signal relevancy to Google so that it can understand the relevancy of your query, and also it'll help Google organize your content in the right manner so that whenever somebody looks for something related to your keyword, it becomes easier for Google to rank your content for it. So that is what on-page SEO is all about. So one of the critical failures that I see what people make when it comes to SEO is a lot of people focus on just the off-page or the link building part, which you will be learning in session 6 and session 7, which is very important, of course, but without having the prerequisite foundation of right keyword research plus right on-page SEO, no matter what kind of backlinks you build, you will not be able to rank, because without your page being relevant, how will Google even know which keyword it should be ranking your website for, right? So now, how important is on-page? If you don't believe me, let's hear it from the horse's mouth itself, and let's see what Google has to say when it comes to on-page SEO. So what Google says, if you can see in this red box here, the most basic signal that information is relevant is when a web page contains the same keywords as your search query, right? This is from Google's page itself and Google's guidelines in terms of SEO. So the most basic signal that information is relevant is when a web page contains the same keywords as your search query, right? So you have to make sure that the basic signal has been met, this requirement has been met before you go out there and do anything else in terms of SEO. Now, what are all the different elements which you can go out there and use to improve the relevancy of your page or of your content? So there are about 6 elements, main elements, so to speak, in which you can actually include your keywords and improve the relevancy of your web pages. So the first one is title tags. The second one is meta description. The third is header tags. The fourth is the URL or the link of your page. The fifth is images. The sixth is the content itself that you're creating, right? These are the 6 elements of on-page SEO with which you can improve the relevancy of your web page. So what I'm going to be doing right now is, first, I will tell you the theoretical, conceptual understanding of what all of these elements are and how it works. And then I'm going to be jumping into one of my dummy websites that I have created to show you guys how to like actually do whatever you're doing, and show you guys some of the results we've managed to achieve with that also, right? So first, absorb, like always, just type in absorb in the chat box if you guys are ready to absorb like the sponge, right? So just type in absorb in the chat box. I'll tell you what all of these things mean conceptually, and then we go ahead and see how to do it in WordPress. And I will also be showing you how to do it with a plugin called as Rank Math Pro, which you will be getting it for free as part of your bonus, right? So otherwise it would cost you about $200 a year, but since you signed up for this program, you will be getting it for free, absolutely free. You don't have to pay any money, and you'll be getting all the features of this plugin, right? And this is a completely legal way of doing it. We have like tied up with Rank Math Pro to give you guys this plugin, the pro version of the plugin. There is a free version also, but you will be getting the pro version of it, which has a lot many more options, which we'll be using in the future sessions as well, right? So now let's try to understand what are all these different elements, what do they mean, and how you can use them to increase your relevancy. First up is title tags. Now let's try to understand what a title tag is, right? A title tag is the HTML element used to specify the title of a web page. Pretty no-brainer over there, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory what a title tag is. But for you to understand what an HTML element is, I think I've mentioned this already, that say about 15 years ago or say 20 years ago, if you had to create a website, you actually had to code your website in HTML, and there were certain elements in your HTML tag, and one of them was your title tag, which basically is used to describe and specify the title of that particular web page, or in most cases, the headline of your page or your content becomes the title of your web page itself. Now, these tags, like most tags out there, have certain rules, especially when it comes to SEO. It doesn't have any rules in terms of HTML, but it definitely has certain rules when it comes to SEO. The first rule is that you have a limit of 50 to 60 characters or 580 pixels. Mind you, these are characters, not necessarily letters. So everything is included, your spaces, your punctuation, and all of those things are included. And 50 to 60 characters, or the maximum cap you have, is 580 pixels. Can anyone take a guess why these pixels are also important, and why can't we just like focus on 50 to 60 characters? Does anyone want to take a wild guess at it? Emojis for image, okay. Okay, it's not images, let me tell you guys. Size. Yes, size. Can you elaborate on that, Vijayan? Pixel size is different for letters, says Aisha, and Aisha is absolutely right with that, right? Pixel size is different for different letters. Now, what do I mean by that? So if you zoom in, or not zoom in exactly, if you actually come close to your screen, you'll notice that your screen has these square boxes. Can you guys see it? Which is basically your screen resolution, right? So it has this small, very tiny squares, which is basically your pixels, right? So now these pixels are lighting up, and based on how it lights up, whatever you see on the screen you're able to see on the screen. Now, as you can see, now say for example, this letter U takes up a lot more space on your screen than the letter R here. Are you guys able to see this? Right? This letter U takes up a lot more space on your screen than the letter R here. So which means that when your title is being shown in the search results, Google has a limit of 580 pixels, right? So if it goes beyond that, so it's not only important for you to keep it below or within 50 to 60 characters, but also make sure it is within 580 pixels. Otherwise, it is going to get cut off. I'll show you guys how it looks, so don't worry about it. I'll right now just absorb everything you have to do, right? Okay. Now, like I said, your title is the headline of the content that you're creating. Now, when you're creating your headline, when you're creating your title of the web page, use a user-first approach always. Always make sure that you are trying to entice the user and not just focusing on improving the relevancy of your web page, right? And I'm going to keep saying this for the next 7 weeks because it is extremely crucial for you to understand that you are optimizing your website, your page, not just for the search engines, but more so for the users, which is why I keep calling it UXO, not necessarily SEO, right? So at the end of the day, who's going to click on your search results? Can you tell me in the chat box, who's going to click on search results? Who's going to read your content? Who's going to eventually become your customers or your audience or your subscribers or whatever it is? All of you are absolutely right. Users, right? Humans. So you have to make sure that your title is optimized or your headline is optimized for the user itself, which is why I strongly recommend people to come up with at least 10 to 15 different headlines for every single blog post that you write. Okay, 10 to 15 different headlines for every single blog post that you write. You heard me right. That was not a mistake. You need to come up with 10 to 15 different headlines. So with the headline sheet that I've given you, the swipe file that I've given you, do you or do you not think it is going to be pretty easy for you to come up with 10 to 15 different headlines? Let me know in the chat box if it's going to be like relatively easier, right? Absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. So make sure that you come up with 10 to 15 different headlines and much better. And you need to front load your keyword if possible. Now, what do you mean by front loading your keyword? Front loading your keyword means that you put your primary keyword in the beginning of the title or beginning of the headline if it makes grammatical sense. If it does not, it's absolutely okay. The reason why we do that is it helps in your CTR too. Now, if you remember, when you are doing your keyword research, I asked you to segregate your keywords into primary, secondary, and LSI keywords. Now, in this session, you'll actually understand the importance of doing that, right? So we have primary, secondary, and LSI keywords. The reason why we did that, as I mentioned before also, is because we are trying to prioritize the keywords that you're going to use to improve the relevancy of your web page. As you can see here, since you have only 50 to 60 characters, you have limited space, you have limited characters, you have limited words, which is why you need to prioritize your primary keyword over here, which is why it is so important that you prioritize these keywords. And then based on that priority, you then spread it across your entire page, and we'll see how to do that. Okay. Having said that, always remember user first approach. Let's see how your title tag actually looks like in HTML, in WordPress, and on the search engine result pages, right? In HTML, this is how it looks like, right? So this is how the code looks like. As you can see, the title tag, right? So the title is here, a practical guide on how to become a content writer in India. And title, this is how your HTML code looks like, right? Forget about it. You don't necessarily need to know this. I'm just telling you for your own information, right? But in Rank Math Pro, this is how it's going to look like. See, you can actually edit it and tell how it is going to appear on the search engine result pages, right? A practical guide on how to become a content writer in India, 60 on 60 characters, but more importantly, it's 549 pixels here. So Rank Math Pro actually shows you how many pixels are also there in all the letters that you have written. So make sure that you are well within the limit. So here I've kept it well exactly within the limit in terms of the characters, but more so well within the pixel limit that is there, which is 580 pixels here, right? So 549 out of 580 pixels. I'll show you guys how to use Rank Math to edit this. And in the search engine result pages, this is how it looks like, right? This is the title of your page, and this basically becomes your prime real estate. So imagine that you are competing amongst 9 other websites on that for that particular keyword. And now, do you or do you not think your title slash headlines becomes all the more important because now you're competing against 9 other pages to attract your users' attention? Let me know in the chat box if you agree with that, right? You're competing for your users' attention with 9 other pages. So which means you have to put in extra effort to make sure that your title looks absolutely amazing. At the same time, you also have to make sure you use your primary keyword in the title without trying to force it, making it look very organic. Can anyone tell me, by just looking at this title that you see here, what according to you might be the primary keyword here? Take a guess. I'll give you a second or two. Definitely not content. How to become a content writer in India, right? That is the keyword that I was going after. And how to become a content writer in India was the keyword that I was trying to optimize this page for, right? But what is more important for you guys to see here, do you or do you not think this makes grammatical sense, right? A practical guide on how to become a content writer in India, right? So although my primary keyword has been included in the title tag, it also makes grammatical sense. And since I'm using practical guide and all of those kind of keywords, it is enticing the users for them to come and click on this particular link and come and like actually view my page, right? So you have to make sure you keep this in mind whenever you're going out there and creating title tags for your page, right? Now, if you don't believe me in terms of why your headlines are so important, let's try to hear it from the father of advertisement, Mr. David Ogilvy, who said, On the average, 5 times as many people read the headline as they read the body copy. When you have written your headline, you have spent 80 cents out of your dollar, right? So 5 times as many people read your headline compared to how many people read your copy, right? So which means that 80% of your effort and energy needs to go into your headline. So fortunately for you guys, and unfortunately for Mr. David Ogilvy, he did not have the tools or the templates which are at your disposal for you to go out there and creating amazing headlines and titles. But since you have it, please make sure you come up with at least 10 to 15 different headlines. Now, why am I asking you to come with 10 to 15 different headlines? Is primarily because, now think about it. If you just create one headline, how do you know that that is probably the best headline that you can come up with? But now if you come up with at least 10 headlines, now you have reference points, multiple reference points to actually see whether what you have created is probably the best headline or not. Does that make sense? Just type in MS in the chat box if that makes sense, right? So the idea is to like actually give you the option or give you some choice in terms of understanding what is probably the best headline out there. Now, when it comes to SEO, it becomes another dimension is added here, which basically is you need to try and use, not try, you need to use your primary keyword in the title itself, right? So your title is your nothing but your headline of the page that, the blog post or the content that you've created, which you will be using as the title of the page itself, which will show up like this on the search engine result pages. And that is very, very important, right? Are we clear on title tags? Just type in CC in the chat box if you guys are clear. Now, the second element is the meta description. Now, exactly like your title tag, your meta description is an HTML attribute that provides a brief summary of a web page. It provides a very brief summary, so brief that it's actually lesser than 160 characters. So you have about 160 characters to describe or give a synopsis of what your page is going to be. Now, again, even with meta description, exactly like your title tags, you have to make sure you write it for the users, but you use your primary keyword in the description naturally. Okay, so again, you need to write it for the users itself, but you still use your primary keyword in the description naturally and organically. Now, do you see what I mean by prioritization? Now, even we have taken care of two elements, and we have not even spoken about the secondary and LSI keywords. We're still with the primary keyword. Now, does that make sense? Why you actually went ahead and prioritized your keywords and why it is important to prioritize the right keyword in the first place. Does that make sense? Just type in MS in the chat box if that makes sense, right? So it's very important to choose the right keyword to prioritize, because the prime real estate in terms of on-page SEO goes to primary keywords. But of course, we'll be using the rest of the real estate which is available to us for secondary keywords and LSI keywords as well. But as you can see, the prime real estate is exclusively meant for your primary keyword. Now, having said all of these things, it's very important to note and remember that meta descriptions are not a direct ranking factor. It used to be, but not anymore, right? But they improve your CTR. What does CTR stand for? Click-through rate. Okay, click-through rate. They improve your CTR, which means that how many people saw your listing, your search engine result pages, and how many people actually clicked on it. So if 100 people saw your listing and 5 people clicked on it, it means that your CTR is about 5%, right? So if you write a very engaging, persuading meta description, it can actually help you improve your CTR, which will then have an impact on your ranking. Can anyone tell me why this is? What is the group or the bucket that is actually being impacted here when it comes to CTR in RAU? User signals, right? So this is a great user signal, because what you're signaling to Google is that, hey, you know what? I know how to like attract users' attention by creating content, by creating copy that will actually attract their attention and get them to click on my page. And then there are other user signals which actually determine whether they actually liked what they saw or whether their needs have been met on your page or not. But having said that, CTR is an ranking factor. So your meta descriptions have an indirect impact on your on-page SEO and your rankings. it doesn't hurt to go ahead and put in some effort to write great meta descriptions for your blog post. Okay. Now, how does it look like? It looks something like this, right? Your meta description is like this. So, as you can see, the code itself looks like this. So you can go to your page, right click on it, view source, and you'll be able to see all of these things if you want to. If you don't want to, you can just leave it. So don't worry about it at all. In WordPress/RankMath specifically, this is how it looks like, right? Content writing is a skill that is growing in demand in India and around the world. Learn how to become a content writer in India and develop a successful career, right? Now, very importantly, if you notice in this particular snippet over here, what I have written here is actually not being showed by Google, right? So can you see it? Right, what I have written here is not necessarily being shown by Google itself. So this happens a lot when it comes to meta description. In fact, the recent news is that Google is also experimenting to do the same thing with the title tags also, but it has not been rolled out in India. It has not affected my pages, or I was checking for other pages as well. It has not affected most pages out here, but more importantly, it definitely helps for you to give Google what it requires. Whether or not it chooses to use that as the meta description, or it actually pulls something from your content itself, which seems to be the case in this particular snippet. It has actually pulled out a snippet from my actual content and then like is showing it to people here, right? Sometimes it happens, so don't worry about it at all. Okay, don't worry about it at all. So just go out there and create nice meta descriptions. If Google chooses to use it, it can go ahead and use it. If it does not want to use it, well, so be it. So as long as you have optimized your content itself, which seems to be the case in my case, right? Google will go ahead and pull it from within the content itself. So doesn't matter. But having said that, it's a good habit to actually go out there and provide the meta description that Google is looking for, right? So we are done with title tags and meta descriptions. Now, the third one is something called as header tags. Now, what are header tags, right? So header tags are nothing but headings and subheadings, right? If you can see in this image here, so you have H1, H2, and all the way till H6. So header tags are used to differentiate the headings and subheadings. So heading is H1 and subheadings is H2 to H6 of a page from the rest of the content. If you see here, this is how it looks like in terms of the tags. And on the page also, it looks pretty much similar to this. H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, right? So now, can anyone tell me why are subheadings so important? You know why headings are so important. Why are subheadings so important in terms of your content, in terms of your users? Do you guys want to take a guess why it is so important? User experience. Justin is just writing the same answer for everything. Breaks monotony, bullet points to understand the context of the structuring. Absolutely great. Breaks down the content. Absolutely. Readability. What else? What else? Great for scanners. Absolutely, Shriyo. Presentation. Absolutely. Helps users skim through the content. Very good. Very good. If users want to scroll directly, that's also great. More keywords. Yeah. Engaging users and detailed description. Okay, fair enough. Okay, all of you guys are correct. But more importantly, what you're trying to do with subheadings is you're creating an information hierarchy, right? You're creating an information hierarchy wherein you're saying that, hey, this is the main topic, this is the subtopic. Under this subtopic, there is this content, and then there is this subtopic number 2. Under this subtopic, there is more content. It becomes easier for users, and not just users to understand your content, but also for Google to understand your content as well. Does that make sense? Information hierarchy. Imagine reading any piece of content without having any kind of subheadings. Do you or do you not think it is going to be a nightmare for you guys to actually sit through and read your content if there were no subheadings at all, right? So it is very important that you create the subheadings, not just for your users, but also for the search engines as well. Now, it so happens that Google actually puts a lot of weightage on these header tags because it feels that your header tags are actually very important signals for it to show where your keywords are, right? So what we are going to do is your title or your heading becomes, there is only one H1 tag. So your title, whatever you're given, it automatically becomes your H1 tag in WordPress. So you don't have to change that. You don't have to worry about that. But you have H2 to H3, H4, H5, H6, all of these things, right? So you need to use your secondary and LSI keywords in H2 to H4 tags. Okay, so this is where your secondary and LSI keywords comes into the picture, right? Use your secondary and LSI keywords in H2 to H4, but very, 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 very importantly, do not skip levels. I'll actually show you guys how to tag a particular subheading as H2 or H3 or H4 or whatever it is. But when you're doing it, since you're creating this information hierarchy, if say, for example, you have H1, which is basically the title of your blog post, then you have a subheading, which is in H2, right? And then you have a subheading, which is H3, but you go ahead and put it as H4. Do not do that. Do not skip levels like that, right? Because what happens is that it might not make a lot of difference to the users because it almost looks the same. But for the search engines, it might actually throw it off and like make it very confusing for the search engines to understand the hierarchy of information that you are providing as part of your content, right? So you have H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. So that is the descending order of importance in terms of your subheadings. And that's the way you create that information hierarchy within your content as well. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense as of now, don't worry about it. I'll show you guys how to do it. But some of you have actually tried to understand this also. Don't think about it from an SEO perspective, but from a user perspective. Do you understand why using subheadings is so important? Let me know in the chat box. Type in CC in the chat box if headings and subheadings are absolutely clear. Great, fantastic. So that's the importance of header tags. And then what is the fourth element? Does anyone remember what is the fourth element when it comes to on-page SEO? URL. Absolutely correct, Shanta. URL, right? Do you guys remember how you managed to see who you're competing against by typing in URL colon quotes and your keyword? You did that, right? So what you were doing there, you were doing what you were actually trying to do is you were trying to see how many of the people were using this keyword in their URL. So what does it mean? You too should be going ahead and using your keyword in your URL. Now, what does URL mean? The definition or the acronym stands for Uniform Resource Locator, right? It's basically the address of a web page, not necessarily a website, a web page. Now, if I had to draw an analogy here, now imagine you're living in an apartment complex. Now, you can't just say that, hey, I live in this XYZ apartment complex. How am I going to find you? You need to tell me your flat number also, right? So the only when you tell me your flat number will I be able to actually come to your door and knock on it. Exactly like that, if I have to find a particular page or a particular piece of content on your website, it needs to have a specific address, which is basically your uniform resource locator or URL, or in layman terms, it's called a link, right? So that is basically the link to your page that you're posting out there. Again, user first approach, user first approach, user first approach everywhere. Even here, user first approach, but use your primary keyword in the URL. Okay, use your primary keyword in the URL. And if you see here, this is how your basic URL structure looks like. This is your domain name, right? And then if you have slash and the path of the page itself, and this is basically your protocol, right? So while you're using your primary keyword in your URL, sometimes, not always, sometimes what happens is that your keywords are very long. Since I've already told to go for long tail keywords, which are very specific in nature and all of those things, how many people have keywords which are more than like 5 words? So let me know in the chat box if you have keywords which are more than 5 words or probably more than 4 words. Okay, plenty of people, right? So you have more than 4 words or 5 words. Mandar has 6 words. So imagine now your 6 words, if you put it as URL, it's going to become very, very big, right? So if that happens, what you can do is you can actually avoid what are called as stop words. Now, stop words are words like the, of, or things like this, right? You can actually remove them and keep only the main parts of it if it becomes too long, right? The shorter the URL is, it's better for the users, it's better for the search engines, everyone involved. Okay, so try to make sure that you use your primary keyword. If it becomes too long, then you can go ahead and avoid using stop words, which are part of your, keyword. So can anyone type one of your primary keyword in the chat box so that I can point out what might be the potential stop words? Just type in your primary keyword. Places to visit in Mumbai with kids, right? Okay, that's a great keyword, right? Places to visit in Mumbai with kids. So places to visit in Mumbai with kids. Oh, that's 7 words, right? So it can actually become really long. So what I will probably do is that I'll probably say places visit Mumbai kids, right? Does that make sense? Right? Instead of saying places to visit in Mumbai with kids, I'll just put places visit Mumbai kids. Right? I've taken all these stop words, which was basically to, in, with. Right? These are all called as stop words. So I'll just remove them and just use the main parts of the keyword itself to make sure the URL doesn't become like too long. Also, when you're creating these URLs, again, RankMath allows you to do that, and I'll show you how to do that. When you're creating these URLs, it is very, very important that you understand and know that URLs are case sensitive, right? So you might have a URL which says places to visit in Mumbai with a capital P and a lowercase p. Now, these two become completely different URLs and different pages altogether. So as a thumb rule, it is definitely recommended that you keep all your URLs on your page lowercase. Just keep it lowercase, okay? Don't use any uppercase, letters at all as part of your URL. Please make sure, since it is case sensitive, it becomes very difficult, especially if you're not using some kind of a standard this thing, right? So just go ahead and use lowercase as part of your URL and avoid underscores. Can anyone take a guess? Why should we be avoiding underscores in your URL? Can anyone take a guess? Why is it not very popular? It's not visible easily, right? It's not visible easily for users. It kind of like becomes very difficult to understand what you're trying to say in your URL and can be ignored as well. So what do you do instead? Can anyone tell me what can you use instead of underscores? Yes, you can use a hyphen, right? Go ahead and use a hyphen instead of an underscore, and always use a hyphen instead of an underscore. And do not use or keep spaces, right? Do not use spaces in between this thing. Always make sure it's hyphenated as much as possible, because if you put a space in between words, so the browser is automatically going to fill up that space with a percentage 20. It comes like that, okay? And it makes it look very, very ugly here. URL is going to look very, very ugly. Now, who here wants to make their URLs very, very ugly? Just let me know in the chat box if you're someone who wants to make your URL look very ugly. If it's not you, then make sure that you use hyphens. Okay, okay, great. Looks like nobody wants to make their URLs look ugly. So good to know that. And keep it short. Like I mentioned, the shorter your URL is, the better it is for everybody involved, including yourself. So try to use your primary keyword. If it becomes too long, avoid stop words. Make sure it is in lowercase, avoid underscores, and hyphenate, and do not use spaces in your URL. Are we clear up until this point? Just let me know in the chat box if everything that I just said. There is no character limit as such, but like I said, the shorter your URL is, the better it is for everyone involved. Okay, great, fantastic. Now, images, right? We also have images. And like the most abused and overused cliche goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it indeed is, right? So images not only breaks the monotony of your text, but it also gives you more real estate in terms of your on-page SEO. So how does it give you more real estate in terms of on-page SEO? In two different ways. Now, when you download an image onto your computer, it has a file name, right? xyz.jpg or png. Everybody seen that? Type in yes in the chat box if you have seen that. Anytime you download an image, you have xyz.jpg, right? That is basically the file name of the image that you have downloaded, right? So what you can do is you can rename those files and put in your keywords as your file name and upload it on your website and paste it on your website. Therefore, you're putting in your keywords as part of your file name, which will show up in the code as well. Also, more importantly, you have something called as alt tags or alt text, right? So now what are alt tags or alt text? It's short for alternative text. It is actually meant for search engines and as well for even disabled people to understand what the image is about. So if you had to describe what the image is, then you will be using something called as alt tags. Now, which means that from an SEO perspective, it means that, hey, you have more real estate for adding your keywords as part of on-page SEO. And like Hanu rightly said, it also appears if and when the images do not load, right? So that is also very, very important. So these are some of the websites that are very popular that I personally use to find images for any kind of content that I'm writing. Unsplash is probably my favorite. You have Pixabay, you have Flickr, and of course you have Google itself to find all the images that you want. And whenever possible, wherever possible, make sure you put in a link to credit the actual the place where you got the image from. So here, since you'll be using multiple images in your post, what does it mean? You can use the primary keywords, you can use the secondary keywords, and your LSI keywords as well. So each image can have multiple alt tags, not just one alt tag. It can have multiple alt tags. So which means that even if you have like 3-4 images, you can now use all of your keywords, all the 11 keywords that you have already gone ahead and shortlisted as your alt tags, right? Does that make sense? So which means that that way you have gone ahead and pretty much covered all of the keywords, right? So primary keyword has been given prime real estate in terms of your title, your meta description, your H1 tags, and then you have the H2 to H4 to all the way to H6 if necessary. You can put in your secondary and your LSI keywords there. And then you have your URL wherein you're putting your primary keyword again. And images, you can use all of your keywords as part of your file name and as part of your alt tags as well. Now, what is the one last place where you can actually use all of these keywords and improve the relevancy of your hint content? Yes, the content itself, right? So the content itself is a great place for you to include keywords as and increase the relevancy of your web page. But very importantly, make sure when you're writing your content, do not try to force your keywords into it and make it sound like it's been written by a robot. You've done so much hard work to prove that you're not a robot so far. Don't go out there and prove it otherwise by sounding like a robot in your content. Okay. Would you guys make me a promise that you'll not, make sure that, you're not going to be doing that, right? So make sure that whenever you're writing, which is why I made you guys write the content first, and then I'm asking you guys to actually optimize it then. Because what happens is, this is another mistake a lot of SEO guys do out there, is that when they write content, they ask for keywords, they try to force in that keywords, even if it does not make any sense whatsoever and absolutely no grammatical sense. They try to force in that keyword, and most people might have actually come across pages or content where the content itself looks so bad. Have you guys like come across those kind of pages or blogs wherein it is very obvious that has been overly optimized for SEO? Right? It has been overly optimized for SEO, and it kind of like puts you off completely because they have optimized it for the search engines and not for the users. So when you're before you go into putting your keywords, all the keywords that you have, make sure you use it organically and naturally. And even if you have to change the structure of the keyword a little bit to make sure it makes grammatical sense, go ahead and do it. It's fine. Google is very smart to understand what you're trying to say. Okay. So don't worry about it. Having said that, now I'll also be teaching you guys how to not only use your keyword in the content, but also use the ARB formula to write an introduction, right? So what does the ARB formula stand for? ARB stands for attention, reason, and benefit. Like I said, if the job of your headline is to attract your audience's attention, the job of your introduction is to retain that attention. You have about 7 seconds. That's it. You have about 7 seconds to make sure that you convince your users that, hey, you know what? Whatever time you're going to be spending in reading this particular blog post, it's going to be well worth it. So here is the reason for it. And by the end of it, this is the benefit that you are going to be getting from it, right? So how do you do that? So to make sure you retain the attention of the users, you use a story or use a shocking statistics, or you ask a thought-provoking question, not just some random questions. Ask a thought-provoking question or use an analogy, right? This way, what you're trying to do, when I say retain the attention, more than retaining the attention, you're interrupting the pattern, right? Sometimes you might have like caught yourself doing this while you're browsing the internet, that you are almost browsing mindlessly, right? You're just like going through this groove and you're mindlessly browsing through the internet. They call it doom scrolling on like Instagram, on Twitter, right? You're just like scrolling. You don't even know what you're reading, but you're just like randomly scrolling through the whole thing. You're randomly consuming content. But if you see something like which is not supposed to be there, suddenly you like snap out of it and you have like complete attention and complete focus. That is exactly what you're trying to do here. You are trying to break that pattern. You're trying to interrupt that pattern, get their focus, get their attention, and retain it. How do you do that? You do that using a story or a shocking statistic or ask a thought-provoking question or use an analogy, right? That's how you do it. And while you do it, once you've done that, you need to also give them a reason as to what made you write this piece of content. Why are you writing this piece of content? And in the benefit, you need to tell them how are they, whoever is reading, going to benefit from your content. By the time they're done reading your content, how are they actually going to benefit from reading this content? Okay, I'll actually show you how I've actually implemented this in one of the blog posts that I'll be showing you. But conceptually speaking, does A or B, attention, reason, benefit, make sense to you guys? Just type in A or B in the chat box if it does. Great, fantastic. Now, in your introduction also, make sure you use your primary keyword naturally in the introduction, okay? Here also you're giving your primary keyword, prime real estate. And as you can see, you have already used your primary keyword at least like 6 to 7 times, right? Which means, does that mean that you've improved the relevancy of your web page dramatically for that keyword, right? Just type in yes or no in the chat box. By mentioning your primary keyword, good 5 to 6 times already. You mentioned it in the title, H1 tags, meta description, URL, now in the introduction. You've used it as file names in the alt tags and all of these places, right? So therefore, you have gone ahead and like actually made sure that you have improved the relevancy of your content by including this kind of a keyword, right? And also, I hope now you also realize why it is important for your secondary and LSI keywords to be closely related to your primary keyword as well. How many people did that thought cross your mind when I was actually talking about this, right? So when I was talking about this, did that thought cross your mind that, hey, now it makes sense why it is so important that I can't have random secondary and LSI keywords. It needs to be closely related to it, right? Because although you're using your primary keyword as the most important thing to increase the relevancy, you also need to make sure you're giving it like topical depth and breadth also for that content, so that all the related pieces of keywords are also ranking, and like you rank for multiple keywords and not just your primary keywords as well, right? So in the body also, make sure you use your primary, secondary, LSI keyword at least once. So in the rest of the body that you have, the what, the why, and the how, basically, right? Wherever you're using that, use your primary, secondary, LSI keywords at least once naturally throughout your content. Do not force your keywords. Make sure it's grammatically correct. And there is a concept called as keyword stuffing. It used to happen a lot back in the day when I started off SEO, where people used to just like stuff the entire content with as many keywords as possible, regardless of whether the content made sense or not. And you know what? It used to work, right? Back then, Google's algorithms were not as smart, and it actually used to work. So people used to just stuff the page with like as many keywords as possible, with the hope that it improves the relevancy and therefore improves the ranking as well. So now obviously Google has like caught up with that and they've improved their algorithms, and Google does not encourage you to do that. So as long as you're doing all of these things like I've mentioned, you are safe. And also, which is also why I make you guys write a 1,000-word article, right? So if you have written a 1,000-word article, and you've mentioned your primary keyword like 6 to 7 times, what is the percentage? Keyword density, right? So the density of your keywords is like 0.6%, which is not a lot, right? Which is not a lot at all. 0.6% is the density of the keywords, and the rest of the 99.4% of the keywords are other words. And of course, the secondary LSI keywords are all together. If you have like, 20% or 20 times you've used all the keywords, including your primary, secondary, and LSI keywords, let's assume, even if you just use once, then it's become like 11. But if you use it twice in different places, like alt tags in your content and all of those kind of things, so it becomes like 20, which is still like 0.2%, which you're definitely in a safe territory. But now, if you use 20 keywords in a 100-word article, what happens then? What is the keyword density if you use your keywords 20 times in a 100-word article? Let me know in the chat box. 20%. It's a lot, right? If 20% of your content is just keywords, do you as a user will like reading such content? No, right? I would not. I'm sure you wouldn't either, which is why, right? Which is why I make you guys write in-depth content. Not only will it help your users, but also will help you dilute the keywords while keeping the relevancy of your page very high. Now, does that make sense? All of these things, what I've been making you do, right? Type in MS in the chat box if it makes sense. Awesome. Fantastic. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to jump into the browser and show you guys how to do this in WordPress. I'm going to take a water break. How is session number 3 going for you guys? Let me know in the chat box. Are you guys finding it interesting? Theory stuff. Let's get into the practical stuff, shall we? You're always overwhelmed, Harshita. You need to like relax. Don't worry about it. Just let it absorb first. You're not like nobody is putting a gun to your head and saying that you have to know how to do auto SEO right now. Okay, you have like a lot of time. Right now is your time to absorb. Then probably you might like actually understand it tomorrow morning, because once you sleep over your problems, and which is what a lot of people say, right? Sleep on your problems, and the next day morning you'll actually be able to like understand it better and solve it better. More so, when you do it, you'll have a much clearer understanding of it, right? Awesome stuff, right? So this is how your dashboard looks like. How many people's dashboard looks like this? Something like this, at least. Okay, great. Anmol says it doesn't look like this. Something like this. At least your WordPress dashboard looks like this. At least your navigation bar would look something like this, right? So I just like removed a bunch of things, so which is why I might not be able to like see, right? So anyway, right? So what we'll be doing first is we'll be installing a plugin called as Rank Math Pro, and I'll be showing you how you guys can do it. So everybody remembers how to install a plugin? Now, do you think installing plugins and themes are like super difficult and complicated? I hope not, because we'll be installing a new plugin called Rank Math Pro, and the way we'll be doing it is exactly like we have done before. And we'll be uploading this plugin. I'll be sending you the .zip file. Do not open the .zip file. Do not unzip it. Keep it as it is and upload it as it is, right? Click on Add New. Click on Upload Plugin. You'll get this. Choose File. And you'll have a plugin file called as SEO by rankmathpro.zip. And once you have uploaded it, click on Install Now. Oh, wow, it's much faster than I thought it would be. Click on Activate Plugin. And boom, Rank Math Pro has been installed, but not necessarily activated. So how do you activate it? You'll have this button called as Activate Now, which you can see here. Just click on Activate Now, and it'll show this particular page here. Click on Use Email and Password. I will be giving you guys an email and password. All you need to do is put in your email and password here and click on Login, and you'll get this, blah, blah, blah. Click on OK, Activate Now. And that's it. It's as simple as that. And you have an activated lifetime version of Rank Math Pro. Easy, right? Pretty simple, right? So it shouldn't be like too difficult for you guys to like go ahead and do this. So upload the file, activate it, click on activate now, and I'll give you a username and password. Use that to log in. And once you log in, it will get activated. The pro version gets activated, and then you guys are like good to go. It's a lifetime version. You don't have to like update it. But the only thing is that you can use it only for one website. Okay. So once you do that, click on Setup Wizard, right? Click on Setup Wizard, and you'll have three options here: easy, advanced, and custom mode. Click on advanced and click on Start Wizard, right? And you'll get a bunch of different things here. You can like choose everything, what kind of a blog it is, or you can upload your logo if you want to for your GMB and all of those things. If you don't want to, it's absolutely fine. For now, if you want to have a default social share image, these are all optional. Okay, I'm just showing you guys the different options that you have and how to actually set up your Rank Math Pro. And the reason why I'm showing you all of these things is, guys, please pay attention to my face. Just by knowing how to install and use Rank Math Pro to optimize a page in itself is a great skill to have. A lot of people do not know how to do it properly. Just by learning this one skill from this one session, and I'm going to be saying this every session, I think, but this is also very, very important. The reason why I'm saying all of these things is because not only do people not have access to Rank Math Pro, they also do not know, once they have access, they don't know how to actually set it up properly, number one, and how to use it properly to make sure your web page has been on page optimized correctly, right? So just by doing this, just by knowing this properly, you can go out there and like, provide services for this, freelancing, bunch of different things. And having this skill, you can actually put it on your resume if you're looking for a job and things like that, right? So, which is why I'm showing you all of these things so that you know how to use it properly, right? Click on save and continue once that is done. And you guys know how to do the whole setup with the search console and analytics. It has already happened here. If it has not happened, it'll ask you to connect here. So just click on connect, and it's the same way that you did with Sitekit. You have to do it here, and then like click on save and continue. Right, it'll ask you for sitemaps. We'll be learning more about all of these sitemaps. Just leave it as it is. Turn on video sitemaps as well, and click on save and continue here again. And SEO tweaks, leave all of these things as it is. Don't change anything here in SEO tweaks. Click on save and continue. And it's pretty much done, and click on set up advanced options as well. So role manager is basically all the different user accounts if you may have in the future. What are the different privileges that they have as a user, as an administrator, as an editor, as an author, and all of these kind of things. If you want to change it, if you want to play around it, you can do it, but leave it as it is for now. Okay, save and continue. So enable both of these things. You will be knowing what redirections are in the future. 404 monitor, what is a 404, and all of those kind of things in the future as well. Leave it on or turn it on if it's not on. And then schema type, just turn it on if it's not on. Click on article. Again, you'll be learning this in next session, technical SEO, and click on blog post here. And same thing for pages as well, right? And then click on save and continue. And that's it, right? So once you've done that, you'll basically set up Rank Math Pro. Okay, so you'll be able to see like all of this bunch of different kind of settings that are there. We'll be learning all of these things in the future sessions, but eventually I'll be showing you how to use most of these things. You're free to go ahead and like experiment with all of these options that you have as part of Rank Math Pro itself. But for now, focus on how to use Rank Math Pro to optimize your on-page SEO. How do we do that, right? Let's find out how we actually go ahead and do that. But before we do that, you need to learn how to publish a blog post on your WordPress website because your WordPress website currently does not have anything on it. So let's learn how to actually publish a blog post and then optimize the same post for on-page SEO using Rank Math Pro. Right? Who's excited to learn all of these things? Type in excited in the chat box if you are excited. Brilliant. So to first go ahead and publish your post that you so painstakingly have written in the past 1 week, what you need to do is click on posts. Okay, so click on posts. So in this case, I already have a bunch of posts which is there on this particular page. Oh, I wanted to show you guys something. So as you can see, these are like what is happening on this blog. This is a dummy website that I set up. And whatever I'm teaching you guys right now, I have implemented it on this blog. And look at this results that it has already come. This is like a dummy blog I just randomly set up to show you guys how this whole thing works. And already just by actually implementing everything that I'm teaching you here, these are the kind of results we have already seen. So rest assured, if you follow everything that I'm teaching you here and implement everything that you will be learning here, you will be getting way better results than this. And if you give it enough time, you will be seeing amazing results. Believe me when I say this, right? So coming back to, how to post it, click on posts, right? Click on add new, and you will be able to see something like this, right? You'll be able to see something like this. So you will have add title. So this is called as the block editor in WordPress, right? So you'll have different blocks here and you can like go ahead and add different things. It's very simple to do. So what I'm going to do is one of the blog posts for which we had written for this particular blog, I'll go ahead and show you how to do it. So I'm guessing you guys have written it on Google Docs. So you can just go ahead and copy paste it. First, add the title. So as you can see, we can go ahead and just like add the title. I don't know why it's coming up like this. But anyway, yours must be like much wider. Let me see if I can like reload this. Okay, anyway, this is just going to be wider. Everything else is going to be the same, right? So the title here, and and then you can just like copy, might be a caching issue, yeah. So then like copy it here, paste your content here. Oh, there you go. It's like automatically fixed itself. Right? This is how it looks like. Right. So you put in the title here, you put in your content here, and that's basically it. Right. Just that's how you actually publish your content. Right. So you go ahead and like put it like this. Now we'll see. This is how you paste your content. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to add subheadings. Okay, first let's try to see how to add subheadings. Say, for example, I'm going to copy this particular thing here and okay, right, so you will be able to see, say for example, I want to like change this particular line into a subheading. Now what do? What I do is just like select it like this, and once I select it, you will notice that something like this actually hovers over here, right? There's a bunch of options that you have, bunch of formatting you have. You can bolden it if you want, you can italicize it, you can add a link, you can do a bunch of things, but let's try to now understand how to change it into a subheading. So what I do is I click on this P, which stands for paragraph. I click on that and transform to heading. Now, once I've transformed to heading, it automatically chooses it to a H2. If you want to change this to, say, for example, H3 or H4 or whatever, all you need to do is click on that and click on H3, H4. Do you see the size of the text also changing as I change the H2, H3, H4, and H5? So look, this is H2, it is H6 right now. If I do H2, it becomes slightly bigger, right? So do you guys see that? So all you need to do is select it, and like from here, it'll be like this. You need to select it like this, click here, transform to heading. And once it is done, it automatically becomes H2. And then like you're good to go with this, right? So as you can see, now you know how to do the whole subheadings part. But now, more importantly, let's try to understand what is the first element of on-page SEO. Let's try to first change that. Title. I'll actually show it to you guys. Okay, I'll show it to you here first and then show it to you in an actual post how it looks like. Right. So what you need to do here is you need to click on this particular button that you see on the right hand side. Are you guys able to see this button here on the right hand side, right top corner? It says 10 on 100. Just give me a quick yes in the chat box if you're able to see this, right? If you click on that, you will be able to see a bunch of different things from Rank Math, which is actually showing you guys. More importantly, it is giving you a score on 100 as to how optimized your page is, right? So what you need to do is once you click here, you click on edit snippet, right? Once you click on edit snippet, here is where you will be able to change your title tags, your permalink or your URL, and your meta description itself. Right now, as you can see, since this title has been automatically pulled in from the title of the web page or the headline of the web page, it is exceeding the character limit by 31 characters. It is 91 on 60. And of course, the pixels have also increased. So what does it mean? It means that this is how the website will look like, or the listing will look like on the search engine result pages, and it is getting cut off, right? Which is why it is so important that you keep it within 60 characters, or more importantly, well within 580 pixels as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use this as my title and remove this. So this is your default placeholder that Rank Math has put in. So you can go ahead and change it. I'll delete that first and put in a new title. And now it looks much better and much fuller also. What is a dishwasher and how does it work, right? That's how you change your title and make sure it's well within your 60 characters and well within your 580 pixel. Does this make sense now? So simple, right? So you don't have to like do a lot of things, right? So you just have to click on edit snippet and this will like come up, and then you go ahead and change your title and make sure when you are putting in a title, it has a primary keyword, it makes grammatical sense, well within 60 characters or 580 pixels, right? Next up is permalink or URL. So this is another word for URL, permalink, right? So how do you put a URL? So let's say, for example, I'm going to put this as what is a dishwasher. So right now, as you can see here, this is the default URL. Doesn't look that great. And more importantly, it is not actually utilizing the primary keyword, right? So it is not using the primary keyword here. So which is why what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure, let's assume that my primary keyword in this case is what is the dishwasher. Okay. So I'm going to put it like this, and automatically it'll change later on once you update it, right? You have the description here. So I'm going to go here and copy this description and put it here, and there you go. So 160 characters, little in terms of the character limit, I mean the pixel limit has increased a little bit. It's fine, I guess I can live with that. So as you can see, this is how you change the title. The pixel you can see right here. This is PX means pixel, Anjali, right? So this is how you do the title, the permalink, and the description itself. Now, how do you add? Does that make sense to you guys? Just let me know in the chat box if it makes sense. How to change your title, your description, and your URL, right? I showed you guys how to do the subheadings, your H2, H3, H4, and all of those things. And I'll now quickly show you guys how to actually add images, right? So now, if you want, say, for example, I want to use an image or put in an image here, right? Description is one, of course. Go to unsplash.com. Like I said, this is one of my favorite websites where you can actually get free photos from and royalty free photos from. So just like use the search bar. Let's say dishwasher. Let's say this. Okay, this looks like a good one, right? So either when you're pasting it from Unsplash or any other website, what you can do is right click, copy image, come here and click on paste. And that's it. As you can see here, the image has been pasted here. But the thing is, if you do this, you can do this. There's absolutely nothing wrong in doing this. You don't have the option of actually changing the file name. So what you can also do is right click, save image as, and you will get this prompt. Basically here, are you guys able to see this small pop-up or not? Just let me know in the chat. Okay, here you can actually put in your keyword, save whatever is there, and then you come back here and click on this small add block button here. Can you guys see this here? This small plus button, right? Give me a quick yes or no in the chat box, right? Click on that and click on image. Right here, you'll have three options. Either you can upload it, media library, or insert from URL. I'm going to click on upload, and then from your website itself, you can go ahead and upload. And this is exactly how it's going to look like. Pretty simple, right? Either you can copy paste your image, or you can upload an image by downloading it first, changing the file name, and then uploading it. Are we all clear? Just type in CC in the chat box if you're all clear. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. You might have done it in like other places as well, right? Yeah, awesome stuff, right? So now if you want to say, for example, add an alt tag or alt text for this particular image, how do you do it? So the way you do it is first you click on this, left click on this, and then over to your right, you'll be, over to your right, you'll be able to see this gear icon on the top, which is settings. Click on that, and you will be able to see this, right? Alt text. So as you can clearly see here, somebody has already given an alt text for this blue and white cooking pot on stove or something like that, right? So if you want to, I can change the alt text to what is a dishwasher, which is basically my primary keyword in this case, right? So that's how you change the alt text for an image as well. So if you want to add more alt text, you can like put in like this, put a comma, put in your other keywords as well, as much as you can, but don't overstuff it also at the same time. Are we all clear in terms of alt text as well? Let me know in the chat box. Brilliant, fantastic. I'll show you guys how it looks like once it is completely ready, right? And this is how it looks like once it's completely ready. And more importantly, what you need to know is the way you're going to get this score, which is at this point 87 on 100 on a post that has already been published, is how do you do that is by putting in what is called as a focus keyword, right? What is a focus keyword? In this case, your focus keyword needs to be your primary keyword. So basically, whatever word or keyword that you put in your focus keyword, Rank Math is then going to go ahead and show you how well this particular page is optimized for that particular keyword. I'm going to repeat, whatever keyword that you put in here, Rank Math is going to show you how well this page has been optimized for that particular keyword. Does that make sense? Type in MS in the chat box if that makes sense, right? In this case, the focus keyword that I have used is what is a dishwasher, right? So this Rank Math Pro is actually showing me how well this particular page has been optimized for the keyword what is a dishwasher, right? A lot of people have this confusion about what is a focus keyword and all of those things. Please remember this very important thing when it comes to focus keywords: garbage in, garbage out, right? So it is what I'm trying to say here is that whatever word that you put in here is very important. I can put in the word the, and then probably like Rank Math will show that it's extremely well optimized because there are like so many words. The word the has been mentioned like plenty of times, right? So you have to make sure you put in your primary keyword here. In fact, as part of Rank Math Pro, you can put in multiple keywords to see how well optimized your page is for all the keywords. If you want to, you can go ahead and do that also. But to avoid confusion, just use your primary keyword here, and then it will show you how well your page has been optimized. Not only will it give you a score here like this, it will also show you where are all the places you have used this particular keyword as well. So here it shows that you're using your focus keyword in the SEO title, focus keyword used inside SEO meta description, focus keyword used in the URL, focus keyword appears in the first 10% of the content, which is why I made you guys write the introduction using the ARB formula and including your primary keyword. Focus keyword has been found in the content itself. Also, content is 3,000 words long, and then you have a bunch of additional things as well. Focus keyword found in the subheadings also. Where is it in the subheading? As you can see here, it is in the subheading also. So this is an H2 tag, right? Focus keywords found in image alt attributes. Where is it? Which image have I used it for? Right, so I can click here. Oh, there you go. So you can see here it has already been used as an alt text for this particular thing. Also, sorry, you're linking to external resources. I recommend if you want to do that, but we'll learn about all of these things later on, right? So all of these things now Rank Math is going ahead and seeing how well this particular page has been optimized for this particular keyword, and not only give you a score, but also give you pointers as to how you can go ahead and do it, right? So as you can see here, and so where did it go? So here in this case, sometimes what happens is, as you can see, my keyword here was what is a dishwasher, but I've changed it slightly to what a dishwasher is, because in this case, it makes more grammatical sense, which is okay for you to do it. Okay. So don't like stress yourself too much if you're trying to like, if it doesn't make grammatical sense, don't use it. As simple as that. Right. So like I said, always write it for the users, most importantly for the users, and then for the search engines. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is how you actually post content on your WordPress blog and optimize it for on-page SEO using Rank Math Pro. How was it? How do you think it was? Was it useful? Was it valuable? Was it amazing? Was it interesting? Awesome. Really good stuff. All right. Who is ready for the assignment? Are you guys ready, or are you guys ready for the assignment? Let me know in the chat box. Oh, wow. Look at you guys. First, promise me that you won't submit at 5:58 p.m. and then I'll show you guys the assignment. Stupid promise in the chat box. Okay, good. All right. So what you guys need to be doing is, first of all, since you have already written a piece of content, publish that and optimize the article with Rank Math Pro that you wrote in the last session. Okay, first publish that and optimize it using Rank Math Pro. The second thing is pick the second least competitive keyword group from the keyword research that you have done. You have 5 keyword groups. Pick the second least competitive keyword group. If you wish to, if you want to go ahead and do your keyword research again, please go ahead and do it. But if you don't want to, pick the least competitive keyword and create a new article of 1,000+ words. Now, this time when you do it, make sure you generate 10 headlines for both the articles, and make sure your primary keyword is part of that key headline as well. And you need to generate 3 variations of meta description with your primary keyword for both the articles. Write the introduction for both the articles using the ARB formula and include your primary keyword. Use at least 3 images for each article and add all tags for all of them, and make sure you achieve a minimum of 75% completion. In the checklist, I'll be giving you guys a checklist also. Okay, so apart from Rank Math Pro, I have a checklist which I personally use to make sure that on page is done, which is very similar to the Rank Math Pro itself. And on Rank Math, achieve a minimum score of 80, right? So sounds a little extensive, but oh, the task sheet has the checklist. I'll just quickly check out the task sheet and see if we can open it real quick. Shreyas, if you have the link ready with you, just send to me. Oh, no, I got it. So you can see here, the checklist is here, right? The checklist is here. You make sure that 13 out of the 17 is there. Primary keyword is in the title, primary keyword in the beginning of the title, it's in the meta description, URL includes your primary keyword, and all of these kind of things. Okay, so 10 headlines for the new article you're writing, not for the old one. Old one, just publish it and optimize it. Okay, so for the new one that you're writing, make sure you write 10 headlines for the new article. You don't have to write two new articles. You already have one. The old one, you just need to go out there and publish it and optimize it for on page, and then you need to write a brand new one. Go ahead and publish it and optimizing using Rank Math. Are we clear on that? Pretty straightforward, right? As you can see here, this is how it looks like, the checklist. As long as you can like make sure you 13 out of 17 are checked off here, and make sure your rank math has a minimum score of 80. You're like good to go with that. Okay. So yeah, that's what the assignment is going to be. Yeah, you can go ahead and edit it and improve it if you want to. So I'll just quickly go through the assignment again. You need to publish and optimize the article you wrote in the last session, right? Go ahead and publish it. I showed you how to publish it. Optimize it based on the checklist plus Rank Math Pro. Make sure you get a score of 80. Then pick the second least competitive keyword group from the group of 5 keyword groups that you have and create a new article of 1,000 plus words. I'm telling you guys again, even if it is 999, I will reject it. Right? Make sure it's 1,000 plus words. Generate 10 headlines for both articles and generate 3 variations of meta description with your primary keyword for both the articles. Write the introduction for both the articles using the ARB formula and include your primary keyword. Use at least 3 images for each article and add alt tags for all of them. Make sure you achieve, when you do all of these things, you're more likely to actually achieve a minimum of 75% completion in the checklist for both articles and optimize both articles using Rank Math Pro and achieve a minimum score of 80. So the deadline for this assignment is 14th September, next Tuesday at 6 p.m. I'm going to give you another reminder. Do not try to submit it at 5:58 or 5:59 p.m., even worse. It automatically shuts down submission, automatically shuts down at 6 p.m. So, it's gone after like 6 p.m. So you get a cashback of 1,000 rupees. All tasks should be submitted only via the submission form. Assignment needs to be complete and validated by the team. All decisions regarding rejection are final and the reason for rejection will be provided. Make sure you're not plagiarizing your content. As long as you're not copy pasting your content from anywhere, you're good to go. But if you're copy pasting it, we will get to know and we will reject your content if you have plagiarized your content. Payment will be made within 7 working days of assignment assessment. All links will be updated as usual at sanjaysharma.com/hs-b5/resources. And with that, that's about it. Thank you so much for attending session number 3. And we'll take up some questions and answer some of the questions that you might have. Right? What do you guys think of the assignment? It sounds a lot, but it's not a lot actually, to be very honest. You'll be able to do it very quickly. Yeah, Divya, you can do it. If you want to go ahead and create a new group of keywords, you can go ahead and do it if you want to. How much plagiarism is acceptable? 0%. All right, all right, all right. Let's take up some questions and see what you guys have. I'm not going to answer questions which I've already answered as part of this session. Like I always tell you guys, please hold on to some of the questions. Some of the questions you'll be able to you'll get the answer through the course of the session. And then I'm going to, ignore those questions which I've answered already. If you want me to explain certain things again, go ahead and put in the Q&A box again. I'll be more than happy to answer them. I just realized that every alternate letter of your surname, Shenoy, is actually SEO, right? SEO is in my name. SEO. You're the chosen one when it comes to SEO. Absolutely. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I also realized it around last year. I was like, oh wow, it's in my name. Anyway. Shanta, don't worry. So Shanta is asking, so we were taught about the 50-60 character limit in titles today. My assignment 2 article title crosses this limit. Will my assignment be rejected because of this? Right? So don't worry about it. You can always go back and change it before you publish it today. Okay, don't worry about it. Guys, please ask a question in the Q&A box. I'm not going to answer any questions asked in the chat box because it definitely is going to get lost in the chat. H1 and URLs, no. URL, I mean, it can be, but it will be too long in that case. So just make sure your URL, you address both of these things independently. Okay, you H1 and title and URL, address this independently as much as possible. Abhijit, I think I've already mentioned this in the URL. Make sure it is lowercase. Don't use capital letters and all of those kind of things. Make sure all the questions, I mean, all the letters are in lowercase. It's usually the norm, it's usually the standard. Just keep it like that. Makes it easier for everyone involved. My keyword is 25th wedding anniversary gifts for parents. Can I use number in the URL? You can. It's not a big deal, but yeah, as much as possible, try to like avoid it. Okay. Is doing SEO for e-commerce site different? You will know it is not that different in session number 7. Don't worry about it. Regardless of what website you have, SEO is the same. Believe me, there may be certain elements which might be extra in terms of e-commerce, but apart from that, 90% of it is the same. If I found an image, any image on Google and use it on my blog, will there be a copyright issue? There might be. Just go ahead and give them a credit. If they say that, hey, please take it down, just take it down. It's better to ask sorry than to ask permission. So yeah, just go ahead and do it. Just make sure you credit them though. Is there any limit to using keywords in the content? So like I said, make sure you just use it at least once, right? And if you use it once, I think you would have used it enough times. And if you want to, if you can, if you feel like you can use it more, go ahead and use it, but don't try to unnecessarily mention it again and again throughout the content. Okay, I think plenty of people ask this question. Am I going to be giving any kind of feedback for articles or assignment two? I won't be giving any specific kind of feedback because just imagine if I had to give 130 people feedback, then this is not going to be a 10-week session. But what is going to happen is that there is going to be a pattern in the mistakes that you guys will be making. So what I'll be doing is picking out 3, 4, 5 assignments and making sure I point out the common mistakes that I've noticed and what is the mistake, why it should be avoided, and how you can improve the next time around. Right. So just that kind of feedback I'll be giving, but I'm working on integrating much more personal feedback given to you, text feedback, not from me, from the people who will be assessing it. So let's see if I can do that from this batch onwards itself. I'll try to do it as much as possible, but no promises. But from my end, I'll be giving more generic feedback. So I'll probably record a video and give it to Shreyas. So in the Q&A sessions, you'll be receiving some feedback also. And after that, you can ask some Q&As also if you want to. Do you think that would work, guys? Just let me know in the chat box if that works. Do we have to optimize image size for better page speed? Is it part of on-page optimization? It's not part of on-page optimization. It definitely is part of technical SEO, which we'll be learning in the next session and the session after that, session number 4 and 5. So yeah, you will be learning about how to optimize image size and all of those things for better page speed as part of technical SEO. Why are we not using Yoast SEO in place of rank math? Is there any difference? And is Yoast SEO less effective? Yoast SEO is definitely not any less effective. I used to use Yoast SEO. One main reason why I use rank math is primarily because it's a much lighter plugin. So it definitely impacts the speed and performance of your website because it's lighter. It makes your entire website faster. Number two, it has a ton of more features than Yoast SEO, and it actually replaces a bunch of other plugins as well. So which means that you don't have to go ahead and go out there and install a bunch of other plugins, right? And the third reason is because it's made here in India. So I was like, hey, let's support our boys and girls. So which is why I was like, let's use Rank Math. And honestly speaking, that's not even the reason. The reason is Rank Math Pro is far better than Yoast SEO. At least this is my uh, thanks, Amen, for that. Yeah. So it's like, it's really good and it really does the job really well. And why not? Pallavi, yeah. Previous blog, if you want to edit it before publishing it, go ahead and do it. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. And it won't, plagiarism won't be detected for common words and sentences. Don't worry about it. Right? Plagiarism doesn't work like that. Like I mentioned to you guys, as long as you guys are not copy pasting content from somewhere, you're good to go. But if you're blatantly copy pasting it from another website, it will be shown as plagiarized content. That's the only thing. One question, what's the difference between H1 and title tags? That's a good question. So what happens is in regular websites, when I mean regular websites, which is not WordPress websites, these are two different tags, right? These are two different elements in HTML. So your H1 is different, your title is different. But in WordPress, both your title and your H1 is both the same, right? So since your title is going to be automatically your H1 tag, in terms in from a WordPress perspective, it's the same, but from if you want to keep it different in other websites, you can do it if you want to. 10 headlines, which basically becomes your title tags also. Yes, it is necessary to use the keyword in the intro, Virendra. How Google or search engine knows what is a primary keyword and what is a secondary and LSI. It is not for Google to know whether what is your primary keyword and secondary keyword. It is for you to know. Like I showed you guys or demonstrated why it is important for you to segregate it into primary, secondary, and LSI keywords. Right. Number one, it's prioritization. You are prioritizing your primary keyword and giving it prime real estate in terms of on-page SEO so that you improve the relevancy for that particular keyword. And along with that particular keyword, you are actually improving the relevancy and improving the topical breadth and depth of that particular keyword by including secondary and LSI keywords as well. So that what then happens is that you're not optimizing your page for just one keyword, but you're optimizing for a cloud of keywords, right? So therefore, it becomes easier for you to not just rank for the main keyword, but also for many, many other keywords as well. Does that make sense, Devendra and everyone else also? The same approach can be used for any website, Khalid. Okay. So what you need to understand here is WordPress makes it easier for you to do on page. In fact, RankWire Pro makes it easier for you to do on page SEO. But the approach, regardless of pages, posts, other website, is the same thing. Can you please explain the alt text again? I did not know where to click for alt text. I will show you. It's very simple, very easy, right? So if what you need to do to pop up to make the alt text section pop up is click on the image first and click on this gear icon, right? Once you click on the image and then the gear icon here on the top right hand, you will be able to see image settings. Under image settings, you will be able to see alt text here, right? So this is where you change your alt text, Rujita. I hope I answered that question. Is there a limit on the number of images we must use? There's no limit as such, right? As how many ever images you want to, you can use, but minimum of 3 images for the assignment. Wow, Abhishek has written a 1,000-word article already here. Okay. Hello, Sanjay. The session was great. Learned so many things. Well, I have a question related to subheading. See if I'm writing a blog for perfume for men and primary keyword is best perfume for men under 1,000. And my secondary keyword are budget-friendly perfume for men, lasting perfume for men. So these secondary cannot be subheading and I have to shuffle these between content because I'll be writing for 5 perfumes. So what headline can I use? You can use it, you just need to use your head, right? I'm not gonna like go ahead and like tell you how to do it. You can actually use all of these keywords that you mentioned as part of your subheading. And I recommend you try and figure out how to do it. Guys, if you're going ahead and editing the previous article, go ahead and do it. It's okay. Just make sure you still highlight the keywords, okay? So that even if you have changed the keyword to make grammatical sense, We know that this was the keyword that you have chosen. Like I said, Bhaskar, you need to hard code it, right? So WordPress allows you to do it much more easily. So other platforms also, say for example, Shopify, it also allows you to do on-page. It also has a plugin ecosystem. It also has a bunch of things that you can use to make sure your on-page is in place. So exactly like WordPress. So what you're doing remains the same regardless of the platform or how the website is designed or developed. The way you do it, how you do it might change depending on the platform on the website or how it has been developed, right? Does that make sense? Go ahead and do your keyword research again if you feel like. See, this happens almost in every batch, okay? So after few sessions, people will be like, oh my God, I got my keyword research right. Can I do it again? Feel free to do it. So keyword research is an ongoing process. Please explain the difference between URL and domain. Domain is your website address. URL is your web page address, right? I gave you the example of apartment and flat number, right? Your domain name is the apartment. Your URL is the flat number. If you can understand that, Sanjeev. Why are you writing articles for a different niche? You have to make sure your articles are well within your niche. Can videos be used in the blog on WordPress? Yes, you can just copy the URL, YouTube URL, and paste it in your post, and it'll automatically embed. You don't even have to do anything. Does the article length is a ranking factor? Definitely is. So primarily from a point of view, which is why I'm making you guys write 1,000 word plus article, right? 1,000+ word article. So what happens is the more in-depth your content is, the more opportunity you have to include keywords and give more explanation both to the users and search engines, which means that it improves the chances of you ranking for that particular keyword. Headlines only for the new article may happen. Don't worry about the old article. For just for the new article, if you want to go ahead and create 10 new headlines for the old article as well. Can I use secondary or LSI keyword for keyword search in rank math? What keyword search? Oh, your focus keyword, you mean, Hajira? Just let me know real quick in the chat box. Yes, you can if you want to. But for now, you can just go ahead and your main thing is whether or not your website has been, web page has been optimized for the primary keyword. You can use multiple focus keywords also if you want to, but most importantly, make sure your focus keyword is your primary keyword. How do I know which is the best headline for my article? Only one way to find out. Publish it and see what kind of CTRs you're getting. Don't worry too much about which is the best and all of that, which is why I'm making you guys write 10 different headlines. When you write 10 different headlines, you'll automatically get that clarity. Divya, I see, this is what I was talking about, right? Just focus on whatever I'm asking you to do as part of this training program. Okay. I know some of you might have already been part of some other SEO training program, or you know SEO, you're going ahead and doing your own thing. I'm not going to go ahead and support you guys to do all of these kind of things, right? So you're on your own when it comes to all of these kind of things. So if you're making sure that you're following along the same line as I am, there's a reason why I'm doing that. I will help you. But if you're going to go ahead and experiment with a bunch of different things, you're absolutely free to do that. It's just that you're not going to get my help in doing that. That's it. Guys, I'm not going to go ahead and tell you which keyword is right for you. Okay. Go ahead and try it and experiment it. It's okay. Make mistakes. Amay, we'll talk about all of these things in the future sessions. Yes, if you follow the steps that I've told, it will be considered as SEO optimized if you follow the steps which has been recommended as part of the session. It is not your keyword density, Ashutosh. It is your score that Rank Math Pro is providing. So don't worry about it. No, there won't be any problem if there are words like sale in keywords. Absolutely not. Although honestly, I try to reach out to them. I don't think they're open to like any kind of collaboration. And yeah, I try to like get like the pro version. I wanted to like pay them and like see if we can do something about it. But unfortunately, there's nothing we could do about it. So which is why you guys are stuck with the Airshare free version. But regardless, I know it's quite annoying, but it still is really, really good. Believe me when I say that. Use images for now, don't go for GIFs. How to get comfortable with writing long word articles? Very simple. Write long word articles. If you want to cook better, what do? You cook more. If you want to run faster, what do? You run more. If you want to swim better, what do? You swim more. Exactly like that. If you want to get comfortable writing long form content, you will write more of long form content. That's it. I do not recommend over suggest. I mean, you can if you want to, but at the end of the day, Ahrefs provides much more accurate and much more in-depth data compared to any other tool out there. Guys, ask questions related to this session, okay? We'll talk about all of those other things later on. All right. All of the questions are over. I hope you guys had a great time in session number 3 of HIIT SEO. Awesome. Good stuff. Who's excited to go out there and give Rank Math Pro a shot and optimize your web page and your content for on-page SEO? I hope all of you guys are excited. I'm going to repeat again. Do not wait till 5:59 p.m. to submit your assignment. Make sure you submit it well before that time. Make sure you attend the Friday Q&A session, clear all of your doubts, use the group effectively. Jackson has been doing a great job helping you guys out. So make sure you're on top of things. Put in focus, put in your effort, put in the time and energy required to make the assignments and submit it well before time. Okay. See you guys next Tuesday at 8 p.m. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, have a great rest of the week and the weekend. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Bye bye. Good night.